where I don't know if we were doing this exchange, but I was doing an exchange, and I said, well, you better get a hold of your facilitator to release the funds. And she goes, oh, I'll go down and write a check out of my account.
Oh, no.
And her CPA had actually told her she could do that as long as she didn't touch the money. So she totally blew her. I don't know how we went through the exchange, and I guess her CPA was going to try to do something with her.
Well, what happens sometimes is that people will do things like this. They will get bad advice, and as long as they're not audited,
Yeah, they get away with it.
they're going to
yeah.
get away with it.
Yeah.
But in the event of an audit, that would be
You're
an
nailed.
automatic
Oh,
fail
yeah,
on
yeah.
the exchange, and she would pay her capital gains tax.
So, and also in my experience with the exchanges, I think you need to take that money because it could be extremely substantial. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars that go into these, into a holding pattern while you find your move-up property. Now, let's do the basics. Let's do a time frame here because we know there's 180 days in which to do all this stuff. All right, and give me the time frame, Tony.
Well, actually, the time frame that I think is the most difficult is the identification period. And the way the time frame runs is it goes from the date that the property that is being sold closes escrow. And you have 45 days from the date you close escrow on the property that you're selling to identify the property or properties that you want to buy. And I tell anybody who will listen to me that that's the shortest 45 days known to man.
Yep.
Feels like about 45 seconds when you're shopping for a piece of real estate. And even though you don't have to be in contract to identify a property, you really want to be in contract because that's a really hard line date. And then the closing period, again, starts from the date you close escrow on the property that you're selling, and it runs for 180 days or when your taxes are due for the tax year in which you sell the property. So there are some times of the year where you could have a shortened period of time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you got to be very careful about that when you figure your tax strategies. But the thing is that 45-day runs within the 180.
Correct.
And a lot of people mistakenly think that I got 45 days plus the 180. Then they don't even think about the tax year or the structure of when your taxes are due.
Right.
So, boy, I'm telling you really got to get these time frames set up to begin with. Now, one way you can get around not really get around it, but extend your identification period is maybe to extend your escrow. Okay, because if you can't find something and you're sitting there, okay, and if you have parties that are amenable to that, okay, you can perhaps move your escrow out to try to find more properties.
When you're dealing with the property that you're selling, that's a wonderful thing to do is to have a longer closing period because you can shop early and often.
Early and often, really, yes.
Early and often. So sometimes people will have a strategy of having a longer closing period on the property that they're selling in order to get that shopping time.
Now, this is for people that are. You're not selling your primary residence, folks. Here, okay. You're not selling the home you live in. Okay, you're selling a property held for investment. Now, what about a vacation home? Is that the same thing?
Well, a vacation home can potentially be exchangeable. In fact, this year in March, there was a revenue procedure that came out that really laid out the safe harbor provisions for when a vacation home can be exchangeable. And it needs to be a vacation rental.
Right.
And it's the first time that we've really had a clear outline from the government. And basically what they say is they take a look at the property that you're either selling or the property that you're buying.
Right.
And they look at the 24-month period ahead of the time you're buying or 24-month period after you buy a property that you're going to hold for vacation rental purposes. Right. They break it down into two 12-month periods of time. And in each 12-month period of time, the property needs to be rented out at fair market rent for at least 14 days.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's a very small period of time.
Very doable.
Right. And then they do also restrict your personal use of the property. So in each 12-month period of time, it can't be used personally for more than 14 days or 10% of the time that you rent out the property, whichever is greater.
Okay.
So if you rent the property out for, say, 200 days in a given year, you could use the property for 20 days.
Right, gotcha.
And you are also allowed to have some maintenance visits to the property, and there are some, definitions of what a maintenance visit to the property.
Can't bring your golf clubs to maintain the property?
Probably not.